Welcome to another episode of The Local Dive. This is Alex Scott, joined by Dean and Sarah, Ashlyn Portero.
Hello.
And producer Jacob Baldry.
What's up?
How's everybody doing?
Limoncello LaCroix. Is that how you say it? Limoncello?
Mm-hmm.
Limoncello LaCroix today.
Very
There you
nice.
go.
It sounded quite refreshing when
Paying
you popped the top.
homage to your Italian heritage.
That's right. Go Papa Tony.
I think limoncello. Isn't that an Italian word?
I
Sounds
have
like it.
no idea, but yeah, we'll go with it.
Okay.
It is now. It's 2020. It can be whatever you want it to be. Ashlyn, so
Perfect.
if you say it's Italian, it's Italian.
I do.
Well, it is the most wonderful time of year, or almost, as this podcast is released, and we are talking all things Christmas today. And so we are excited to dive into that. No, dive into that.
The local dump.
Oh my god.
We're not going to talk about what that might be.
Oh my god.
So, moving right along, shallow end topic of Christmas. Everybody's, I don't want to say everybody's favorite Christmas tradition, but a favored Christmas tradition, the old classic Christmas movie. What is, this is probably very controversial, like topic can be. What is your favorite Christmas movie?
I have like 5 different categories. So
No, that's not the game, Ashlyn.
you did not define the rule.
If she gets 5, I get 2. I'm asking for 2.
Okay, my favorite, I will say that my favorite Christmas movie, without any disclaimers, is Home Alone. I have other
Great choice.
subcategories, such as like, and tell me, are we going to talk about this? Like movies that count as Christmas movies, but aren't truly Christmas movies.
Like Die Hard?
I've never seen Die Hard.
Like the holiday.
What are you talking about? Oh, I guess that isn't totally a Christmas movie. See, I think of that as a Christmas movie, but yes, that would fall under that category. That for me is Little Women. That is not like a Christmas movie, but I watch it at Christmas, and there's definitely at least one celebration of Christmas. I think of it as a Christmas movie. So,
Okay.
It's like limoncello. If it's Italian,
sure.
it's Italian. If
So-
you say it's a Christmas movie,
It's 2020.
go for it.
My decorations are already up when we're recording this, so
So my first, you were way early this year, by the way.
I was.
Way early.
was.
Like borderline, like you pushed the veterans out of the way on Veterans Day. Like type of early. Disrespect to the
it's
troops.
red applies to multiple holidays.
Disrespect to the troops. So my all-time favorite, it's only like 25 minutes long. It's Mickey's Christmas Carol. It's a short, like cartoon version of the Christmas
Nice.
Carol. It's nostalgic for me, and to this day, every year I always watch it growing up, and to this day, every year on Christmas Eve, we watch it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So even like when the kids are like adults, we'll make them watch it there at our house. Like it's a classic.
Nighttime, morning, like when on Christmas Eve are you
Right before they
watching?
go to bed. So it's
Okay.
actually late because we don't get going until late that night.
Yeah.
And then 'cause we have church and a lot of people come to our house afterwards, just kind of that kind of deal. And then I would say, she already asked me to use Home Alone, so I feel bad to that. So I would say Home Alone. My brother is really hostile about his opinion that Home Alone 2 is better than Home Alone 1.
Well, I was going to bring that up
He gets riled up
because
about
it might be the only sequel that at least meets the movie that
It
came
does.
before it,
It
like
delivers
the
as a
original, I
sequel.
guess you could say.
See, I'm the next door neighbor character in Home Alone 1 and the scene in the church over the pigeon lady in Central Park and the orchestra thing they went to. So that's my
Yes.
deciding factor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, and the pigeon lady just kind of weirds me out.
But so I guess my overall favorite is any good like rendition, is that the word, of the Christmas Carol, That's probably my
That's fair.
Okay.
That's
Where
probably
do you
mine.
fall on the Muppets Christmas Carol?
Oh, pro.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah,
Absolutely. That's the one I grew up watching.
Absolutely pro. Yeah. Any good like way of doing it, I'm for.
Okay. I am like, this is maybe unholy, but National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation is like my favorite
so
Christmas
good.
movie without question. The other ones are good. Like I can at least get on board with Home Alone. And
Can you repeat any of your favorite parts from that movie on a podcast?
not one with like the Christian labeled genre. No, I mean, like the whole I'm trying to think of what specific scenes. I mean, okay, I can't repeat what he says, but when Clark is in the office and like there's all the guys filing into the boardroom, and he starts greeting them all. I'm not gonna repeat what he says, but that's a great part. I mean, the whole movie is filled with just great little nuggets.
Look, kids, there's a deer. when he gives
There
the
you
bird
go.
to the guy next to him is pretty darn funny.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I like the whole movie.
So Cousin Eddie's son, is it Rocky? Is that his name?
I think
can't
Rocky's
remember.
the dog.
Oh.
Ralph, is it Ralph? No.
Whatever his name. Cousin Eddie's son lives in Tallahassee.
Oh,
Yeah.
fun
Like as an
fact.
adult now, he lives in Tallahassee.
Yeah.
Wow.
Random
We
The
should have
actor-
invited him to be
the
on the
actor
podcast.
That'd have been
played,
awesome. Yeah, the actor who played Cousin Eddie's son. Isn't producer Jacob supposed to have like facts ready to go when we ask? Like, is he
Well,
supposed
Ashland's our
Looking
resident
it up.
Googler. But yeah, I don't know.
Speaking of producer Jacob, I was asking his parents on Sunday what's his favorite Christmas movie, and he said Disney on Ice Christmas version is what his dad told me.
Oh.
So
I don't believe that
that's
for
pretty
a
neat
second.
that
True.
the ice skating festivities are warming his heart. It's beautiful.
Jacob, what is your real favorite movie?
Definitely nothing with ice skates. Home Alone was also going to be my choice, but I'll mix
Solid.
it up and say like the Tim Allen Santa Claus movies.
That is a good
yeah.
one.
The first one's great. The rest are pretty good too, but the
That's
first one's probably a classic.
That's
It
a
always
good-
it always kind of freaked me out, like as he's like progressively getting heavier, like just that like transformation was like always a little weird to me.
And just I love Vince Vaughn. I love Fred Claus. I mean, he plays the same character in every single movie he's ever done, but it's a great character,
That's
so I
true.
like Fred.
Another underrated, funny Christmas movie, Four Christmases
Oh,
with
that is good.
Vince
That's
Vaughn
one
and
too.
Reese
Mhm.
Witherspoon. I like that. That whole movie is just
That's
it's
when he
so
says.
ridiculous.
That's when he says haircuts never lie. It's the
Yes.
best.
Yes.
Yeah, if you don't know what we're talking about, just go watch.
go watch the
Amazing
movie.
moment in the movie. Good catch on that,
So-
Ashlyn. Good
so
catch.
funny.
Mentioned
Yes.
that.
So funny.
Okay, are there any movies that are Christmas movies that are like, considered big Christmas movies? A lot of people would like them that you just like. I don't get it. I don't understand.
Oh, I have two. Number one, without a question, is A Christmas Story. That'll play on repeat all day long on
That's
TNT.
like your
That's the
your
whole
childhood.
point of it. It's just playing in the
I
background.
just cannot stand that movie. I don't get it.
Yeah, I'm with Dean on this one. Ashlyn, sorry.
And the second, I'm probably going to get kicked out of the group for this. I like it, disclaimer.
I think I know where you're going.
I'm for it, but I slightly think that
Keep going.
Chevy Chase is a little
Oh.
overrated.
Mm.
A little bit. Also, I'm anti It's a Wonderful Life.
I thought you were gonna say Elf, which
Oh.
is how I feel.
I'm with you on that.
I am
So I like Elf. I am for it. I do not understand why people lose their minds and can watch it like year round.
Like,
To
oh my
me-
gosh, Elf's on tonight. Yeah, I don't get that either.
To me, it is just not that funny. I like it. I do think it's funny, but like once you've seen Will Ferrell eat like a plate of spaghetti with candy and Lucky Charms in it, it's like, okay, I get it. I don't know. I guess I just think there are so many funnier Will Ferrell characters that Elf just doesn't totally do it for me. That's just how I feel.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's no Vince Vaughn. I'm just going to say that.
Yeah,
I started to agree, but then I was like, well, I don't know. I do like Will Ferrell, but yes, not in Christmas movies. We'll say.
yeah. Elf is super overrated.
I like
I've-
Saturday Night Live, Will Ferrell.
I've
Yeah.
never understood A Christmas Story. Like, I didn't watch it growing up. I still don't honestly know if I've seen it the whole way through. But like the bits and pieces that I have, I'm just like, nope, I'm out. Sorry. Like, don't get it. And
So sad. Jacob, have you seen it?
I have. I think it's too long. It's a good movie, but it's like too long.
and you can watch it 12
Hey.
times on Christmas Day or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yes,
it
you
is,
sure
so.
can.
And Ashlyn will.
37 times on
So
Christmas
if
Day.
anybody wants to zoom in, she's gonna have a Christmas Story Zoom group watching party.
100%. I will do that.
Do you watch NBA on Christmas Day at all?
No, I don't like basketball that much. Like,
Okay.
I don't know. I'm just not like
Just
a
curious.
Big, no, it's
Bah
not my
humbug.
thing.
I know,
Yeah,
mercy.
no. Like, I mean, I tried for a while, and I was just like, I'll watch college basketball, but I'm not a big NBA guy.
All right,
No,
fair
just-
enough.
Didn't know they
not-
played on Christmas.
It's
I don't
it's
know.
a random thing. They have like 3 games back. There's like it's just kind of a random thing.
Yeah.
There's no sports on
No,
on Christmas Day, so it's like
it might be on, but I'm not really like I'm
Because-
not passionately like invested.
because Christmas Day is its alternative name is National Sit Inside and Stare at Each Other All Day Day. So we need to find some
Oh
good
my
things on
gosh.
TV.
It takes my extended family about 8 hours to open gifts, so we don't get to turn on the TV
that in the
until
bud, dude. Good
we
gracious.
don't get to turn on the TV until after
Where's the
dinner.
leadership? Mercy.
All right. On that note, okay, one more Christmas movie question, and then we'll move into something more serious. What is the appeal? And Dean, you are maybe the captain of the fan club here. What is the appeal of Hallmark Christmas movies?
Oh, I legit love Hallmark Christmas movies. No shame, zero, and there's no sarcasm in this. And Alex's accusation of me being the president of this, whatever you said.
No, it's like accurate.
Yeah, it's a real thing. Yeah. So
There's a lot of judgment coming
I'm told. Hey,
to you
I am
from me.
so
but-
secure. I'm so secure in Hallmark watching movies. My thing. So I think one, it's Christmas. Like the fact there's like a Christmas movie on TV every night. It's just like there's no cheesy meter for me when it comes to Christmas. Like I like all things Christmas. So like that's just kind of like there's things we'll allow it that I'll like allow at church on Christmas season. That it's just one of those things where like people love Christmas. So Hallmark to me is just the epitome of all the stereotypes of Christmas that aren't actually real life. Because most of Christmases we pretend. Like chestnuts roasting on an open fire. Like no one actually does that, right? Like it's just we just pretend, right? But that's part of the lure of it, part of the celebration, part of the fun. And Hallmark to me is like all the pretending of Christmas. All at one time in front of you every night. All the warm feels of it. So it's like anything from like the small town and it's snowing. Everybody's dressed perfect. And, and all of a sudden Santa's real in the movie because he shows up unexpectedly and he was really the new boyfriend's uncle. Or, you're just like, just everything that comes with it. Like the family and the meals and the little toy stores trying to make it downtown. And it's just like, it's everything we pretend about Christmas actually is in front of us.
I think where I struggle with it is like, if you've seen one, you've literally seen them all. I mean, it's the same storyline. They just might, flip like, oh, instead of the male character being the, super stressed out, busy executive from the big city, now it's the female character. And instead of being a quaint pediatrician, the male now is like the hardware store owner. or whatever.
We're diverse in our career choices for characters.
Yeah, which I'm totally for.
Gender and all those type of things.
But that's like that's literally the only change to to the plot. So it's like reruns of the same movie in a different small town.
Are you trying to say that preaching the gospel every week is redundant and
no,
it should be different?
No, but I'm saying that I would like my movies to have a little more storyline than what they show.
It
on Hallmark.
allows us to pretend and play the character at Christmas.
Hey, whatever. Ashlyn, how do you feel about Hallmark movies?
I think about them sort of like I think about a bad car accident.
Oh my, hurtful.
Wow.
I can't look away, but I'm disturbed the whole time.
Oh, that's
hurtful.
That's incredible. Wow, that was I was not ready for that, and that was good.
Producer Jacob prefers Lifetime Christmas movies to Hallmark.
What is okay?
Yeah, what is the difference?
I think if it's a Lifetime Christmas movie, someone's like getting murdered by a serial killer.
That's what I was gonna say. I feel like it's like the darker, twisted, like.
Pretty much.
It's like,
oh my gosh.
Oh man, when Santa goes crazy or whatever. And
seriously.
All right. Well, you can let us know which.
Oh, one more thing. I love watching anything Christmas music on TV.
Yeah,
it's like any kind of
Oh,
Christmas
like Christmas
spectacular.
concerts,
Yes.
nice.
The one thing I
Country
watch.
Christmas.
Yes, I love CMA Christmas. One thing I watch every year. This is so weird. And one year I want to go. St. Olaf, the Lutheran College in Minnesota. It's in I forget the name of the town, but Jonathan Woodyard pastors in the same town, and I forget the name of it, but it's in Minnesota, and they had this big Christmas concert every year before the students go home, I think, and it's called like Christmas at St. Olaf, and it's always on like PBS or something like that right around Christmas time, and I watch it every year. And it's like they're musical students, and they have a choir, and it's like, yeah, I watch it every year.
Northfield, Minnesota.
St. Olaf's. They have a football team randomly.
That's great. I don't want to go to Minnesota in December ever.
I do for this. I'm going one year to St. Olaf's Christmas. I told Chrissy that. I'm like, I'm going one year.
Hey, there you go. I'm pro Christmas music. It's now by the time this comes out, it's officially A-OK to listen to it, and we would encourage that. So you do you. All right. Let's jump into the deep dive and talk a little bit seriously about Christmas. And I think first, as we think about Christmas and the Christmas season, there's the idea that most people maybe are a lot of people are walking through this season with their family or in Bible studies or something, kind of working through this idea of Advent. And there's this longing for Christ to come. How does the longing and the waiting of this season help form and shape us as we look ahead to Christmas?
Well, one, it's decorating early for Christmas kind of prohibits that. Just want to throw a shout out to my friend over there across the table.
Doesn't it
my
extend
gosh.
it?
Yeah, well, it makes it, I guess, impatient Christians. But that's so if y'all
You
could see
couldn't
the
see
eye
the
roll.
eye roll.
That was an
Yeah.
all-time eye roll I just got. I think you might pulled a muscle. So one thing, I think it lets us first kind of identify with the whole storyline of the Bible. Because in the Old Testament, again, when you just read the Old Testament just plain on its own with no context, no big picture, it's almost like, okay, am I just reading historical facts? Am I just reading about this country and this army and this leader and this story? Like, no, you're reading about people. Well, that's part of it, but you're reading about people who are anticipating God's deliverance. They don't exactly know what it's going to look like, but they know that one day the Messiah is going to come, that someone's going to come and once and for all, like truly liberate God's people, from the consequences of sin.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's where it starts, is for us seeing that. And then after that, I think it really allows us to celebrate the good news of the gospel, right? That God has kept his promise, that God is for his people, that God has not forgotten about us, that everything he promised has come true and is coming true. So I think that's kind of like Mark Dever, pastor in DC, he wrote a 2-book volume of a overview sermon of every book in the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
And the Old Testament one is called Promises Made, and the New Testament one's called Promises Kept.
Yep.
I love that. That's
Yep.
perfect. That's what we're doing. That's how this happens.
Yeah, I mean, I think we have to make some kind of response to the coming of Christ because he has come. Like, that was an historical event, and so that's Christmas demands a response from us, I think, but in that we have to then think about, like, what does this period of waiting mean for us, especially those of us who are in Christ. Like, we have placed our faith in Christ, like we know salvation in Christ, but we're also waiting for his return, and so it helps us to reflect on that. And I think if there's any year that we can apply a season of waiting to, it's this year, as we're all kind of collectively in this season of waiting. We're waiting for a pandemic to pass. We're waiting for things to get better, whatever that means, something different, for every person. But I just think about, like, in Romans, where it says, the whole creation longs. We really are kind of seeing right now, like, nations are longing, are waiting together. And of course, we each, we have different experiences based on what's going on in people's lives. But I think this season, we're sort of being forced to wait on certain things. And I think it allows us to really identify with also this waiting and this longing that creation experienced and waiting for Christ to come, and so I think it's important that in the season of Advent, if we can kind of give ourselves over to that and allow that to shape us in a way. I mean, I think about, I just, was jotting down notes for this, and I think about, Mary's words in Luke chapter 1, when the angel of God, appears to her. In her response, she says, "I am the servant of the Lord. Let it be to me according to your word." And I think about Mary was someone who was, like, literally physically shaped by the coming of Christ, right? Like, in her pregnancy,
Uh-huh.
we
a good way to put it.
we are being shaped by learning how to endure suffering and pain and hardship and uncertainty. But we're doing it, we have believed in hope that Christ has already come and that he will come again. And so we're learning to do that in a context of hope. And so I think that the season of Advent is teaching us to really identify with the scriptures that are our starting point for this longing, and also for the fulfillment of that longing in Christ.
Yeah, and you mentioned he will come again, and you did your closing words there were the fulfillment, and that's important too. Is that Christmas points us forward as well,
Right.
and so it's supposed to now, in the same way that the first believers, and not just the first, but the generations of believers in the Old Testament long for the Messiah to come. Now we, and all who post Jesus coming, dying, resurrecting, we anticipate and look forward to him coming again.
Yeah. Yeah. Because, I mean, I think as you think about the whole narrative of the scriptures, like, there's this desire for the Messiah to come. And then I think sometimes there's a temptation in the Christian life to think that, like, Easter is the end of the story. And it's like, oh, he's, he bore our sins on the cross, and then he rose from the dead, and now he's ruling at the right hand of God, and we're good, like everything's fine. But the Revelation 21 tells us like he's coming back, and that he's going to kind of reestablish his reign, kind of in a very present sense in the new heavens and the new earth. And so there for us that are in no, kind of pre-Jesus coming, Old Testament period, there's a longing for him to come. Now for us, we can kind of relate to that longing in that it's a longing for him to come back, for him to return, and so we can relate the anticipation and the waiting of Christmas and what that means to this sort of greater idea that we're really longing for him to return, and that the story's not done yet. So who is Christmas for?
Well, since it's celebrated by everyone, basically, that's a good question.
Yeah.
It's an important question. So who is Christmas for? Okay, so I think there's two components to that question. One, the invitation of Christmas is for everyone, that Jesus has come to save sinners. So the message of Christmas, the invitation to Christmas, God's love understood in Christmas, that invitation is for everyone. That Jesus came to seek and save those who are lost. And the way it first started in terms of him coming to earth was he came in the form of, he came as a man. He came as a baby. He was born, right? So then he grew up with a perfect life that we lived and died a death that we deserved. Because of God's mercy and compassion, but also God's justice in receiving just punishment for sin. But it's for believers. Like if you're not a believer, celebrating Christmas is very strange. I mean, it really is. So because of that, we've had to alter it, which I don't lose sleep over that. Like if a secular holiday that we basically just call now the holidays, I don't care, about that. I care about people's souls, but what makes me sad is someone who's passionate about reaching cultural Christianity and written a book about cultural Christianity is how led astray people are by it. How, like I have friends that following Jesus does not that I'm a perfect Christian, but following Jesus has no bearing on their life whatsoever. Besides the fact they just think they're good people, and that wouldn't change. They didn't know Jesus in their eyes. They'd still think they were good people, who go all out for Christmas and are going to take a picture with their family in front of a fireplace on Christmas Day and probably say something about a child being born that they post all over social media and Merry Christmas. And it's just like, where's the disconnect here? Like if you're not a believer in Jesus, like you just to be intellectually honest, or even a follower of Jesus, then you don't really have any business. So like, what are you celebrating? Winter? It just doesn't make very much sense. Now if that's it, then fine. Like a season of giving. Okay, if you want to make some kind of secular idea of that, of good tidings of comfort and joy, but it's like based on what? The fact that the calendar turned over and it's colder out, and so there's people, it's really bizarre. And I talk about some in my book. I do a chapter on Christmas and Easter, but there's gonna be people that like travel like across the country, some internationally. I know it's COVID, so it's a little bit different, but some people are gonna try to do that to go visit family to celebrate something they're not even really sure what it is. It's more just like a day and a time of year and that type of thing. So it's almost it's for everyone in terms of the invitation, but who celebrates it is very bizarre because it doesn't make any sense. There's a reason why I don't celebrate any of the Muslim holidays. It doesn't apply to me. I'm not Muslim, right? I mean, if you're Muslim, rock on, go. I think you're wrong, but go celebrate, right? So that's really is the comparison.
Yeah.
Like I don't celebrate Canada Day because I'm not a Canadian, right? I think Canadian Day is probably a nice thing. Or Canada Day, I don't celebrate that. I don't celebrate any of the Greek holidays or the holidays that are important and name that country because I'm not that. So in the same way, it's really interesting how that's become a thing. Yeah, majorly a thing. It's the biggest celebration on earth.
Christmas is almost like it's holiday. It's Thanksgiving with a change of decorations. In a sense,
and a church service.
Yeah,
which is interesting.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I mean, I think it shows the like far-reaching influence of Christianity on the world. That we have kind of taken the time, the season, the shape of a holiday and made it worldly in a lot of ways, and I'm not someone who's like Christmas brings out the materialism in us and blah blah blah. I mean, it does, but I'm not like angry about all of the kind of secular festive things that we add on to Christmas. I do all. It's what is today? It's November 19th, and my Christmas decorations are up at my house. So clearly,
I love all that stuff too. I love Santa. Bring it. I like it all. Yeah.
Yeah, but to your point, Dean, like when going back to Luke, when the angels appeared to the shepherds and said, "I bring you good news of great joy for all that will be for all the people." So I do think definitely that the message of Christmas is like the actual event of Christ coming. Is so that people can see and know that he is the Son of God. But yeah, I think in terms of the observing Christmas in the sense of actually reflecting on what it means that, the incarnation, that if you're not a Christian, that's going to just be something different to you. But I do think that still demands a response from people. And I think we see now that, a lot of people would reject the reality that Jesus Christ actually came to earth as the Son of God. We might say, yes, he was born, Jesus Christ was a man, he was born, but he wasn't actually God. He's not a divine being. So gosh, there's so many different ways we could take that. So I think at the end of the day, I think the challenge for Christians is that the essence of the Christmas story is the gospel. And so it's on us to make it for everyone to share. And that's so easy to say. It's much harder to actually do, but it also gives me the hope or appreciation and hope for the church that we use Christmas time well to reach people as family and friends and others are coming to maybe participate in things that they wouldn't on a regular week. There's lots of ways to be missional about Christmas.
Oh, it's a wide open door. Do y'all think also that it shows just everything that is Christmas? Because Christmas is very, and for me it's too, like very feels driven, very like emotions driven. It's the only holiday it's really, like Valentine's Day, it sounds like it's emotional because you go on a date or whatever, but like, you don't like feel and anticipate that the day, okay? Even like the spiritual things aside of Christmas, like it's just
all creation isn't groaning for Valentine's Day.
Yes, exactly. But like everything about it, like people are very hardcore about their Christmas traditions, and if you violate it, it's a big deal. And like the first kind of for a lot of new married couples, the first like big fight is what they're going to do that's not even their fight. It's more like
the way their
stress.
Family,
it's more their biggest stress is how they're going to handle Christmas because we always go to Pat Scott's at 7:00 at the Vine Street. The Maple Street? What's it called? Violet Street Inn. Sorry, Pat. So that kind of stuff. It just can make things very complicated. Yeah. My question is, based on all the feels and everything that comes with it, do you think it's showing us a longing that people have for the Christmas that they don't really know about?
Mm-hmm.
Like, do you think there's more to it? Like, is there some kind of heart? Like, what's the heart pull? Like, is it kind of a God-shaped hole in all of us kind of thing? Is that kind of, you think that's kind of part of it? What is it? The idea that God's put eternity on our hearts from Ecclesiastes. Do you think that's that at all? Am I overreading it or?
No, I don't think so at all. I think there is something communicated in the truth of Christmas, and I think as you both said, like that Christmas is for all. The hope of Christmas, the hope of Christ coming, it is really for all people. Now, not all people believe that. Not all people acknowledge that, and so, but I think the longing is still there, and there is things that we see, I will say, like in the practice of Christmas, that I think start to fill some of that void for people that like the Christian life calls us to, and that is maybe amplified in the Christmas season. Like you will see families who do not talk at all come together for a large gathering, have good fellowship. Sometimes you'll see reconciliation over the holidays because it's like that thing that we've like let drive a wedge between us. We're not gonna. I mean, we're just gonna bury that hatchet, and we're gonna come together. And so there's this. You see reconciliation. The Christian life is not only about generosity, but as you give gifts, it gives us the opportunity to practice generosity. And so for people who don't do that normally, it is, so I think you get all of these aspects, and there are others that maybe I haven't touched on, but like there are all these aspects of the Christian life that kind of lend itself to Christmas and are amplified in the just the practice of Christmas, the traditions, the being together, the sharing a meal and breaking bread with one another. And so I think all of that helps point to this eternal truth that people don't really they don't really realize or acknowledge that they're celebrating it, but that there is this longing for the real reason we celebrate at the heart of it all. I don't know, Ashley, if you have other thoughts too, but
yeah, no, I think that's good. I mean, I definitely think that there are rhythms and maybe aspects to Christmas that can help people reflect or maybe be more introspective, about what's going on in their lives, or sometimes the holidays, even though they're busy, they can also be a time to slow down. And so there are these just sort of breaks in like the regular mundane everyday going through the motions of most of the year in our lives. And maybe I'm a little more cynical. I think that people get really sentimental around the holidays. So, and I think that now there is so much in the way of, worldliness and secular I think you can go through the Christmas season and not think about Christ. He's not
100%. His name's not even necessary for how we celebrate it.
Yeah, I mean, especially as we've moved, and this is not me trying to be like a, I don't know, whatever I don't know, like even as we moved into like happy holidays, it is in a sense and I'm not the person who like walks around in the mall being like, it's Merry Christmas, like I don't even go to malls anymore. I just buy things online. But just because the holiday season, even as it like kind of morphs into like from Thanksgiving to New Year's, we are kind of in this 2-month period of just, fun festivals basically. And so, yes, I do think that there is the opportunity for people to reflect and maybe be pointed to Christ. I don't think that people are going to naturally intuit themselves to that unless the Lord really actually calls them to himself through something, and then they hear and respond to the gospel, which I know you guys are saying and agreeing with that too.
That's important.
So I think that there are parts of Christmas that can be great for that. But I don't really go into it, I don't know, with as much hope maybe.
Well, another thing too is maybe also I think Christmas shows us that in terms of who celebrates it, the original thing we're talking about, the question that I kept expounding on and adding layers to, because I think it all matters. I think that some of the things that are with Christmas, like how it really is the end of the world for a lot of people, it's like a really big deal. And like you have to be there and you can't miss going because we always go to Nana's, or it's like the things that are like and we always do this on Christmas Eve. And if you mess that tradition, it's because it's all they have. Mm-hmm. All they have, like family's all they have. If you don't know the Lord, family's all you have, and it's the end of the world. Rather than it being very important and meaningful, it's the end of the world. Tradition is all you have. You don't have the traditions of religion at all. I mean, in a good way, the good things of tradition, like attending church, Lord's Supper, being in a church community, hearing the Bible, like those kind of things. You don't have that. So like this is like almost like your like a makeshift religion for a little while, even though you don't even mention Jesus, has nothing to do with him. It's almost like your chance to kind of pretend you are, and sometimes really believe you are, which makes it the end of the world for a lot of people.
Yeah, in some ways it becomes almost like a family sacrament, where you have to do these things. And I think like one of the other things too, that even if they don't maybe mean it in a spiritual way, I mean, you think about words that are regularly associated with just, I'll just say the Christmas or holiday season. It's like joy, hope, peace, like all of these things that most, like when Target puts joy, in giant letters above the dollar section or whatever that thing, dollar spot or whatever it's called, like as you walk in and you see that, and I think it reveals something in us that like just by nature, like we're searching for that, and we know that that's found in Christ. But if you don't believe that, you're looking for it in other things. And so you try to find it. And there is something about the Christmas season and the way that it's celebrated that does, it gives us like a veiled kind of look at joy and hope. And so I think people cling to that without even realizing that they're doing anything remotely spiritual. Like I don't think people are aware of it, to your point, Ashley.
Yeah, it's like a cheap substitute. Yeah, it really is, without realizing it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that's where we can see that there is a difference, kind of even going back to our conversation before we could say Christmas, the general idea of Christmas is for everyone. But there is such a different experience of kind of those themes of Christmas when there is like a deep abiding truth to them. You know, like I think about like kind of secular versions of, you know, joy becomes happiness, hope becomes optimism, you know, all of those kinds of things. Peace represents, you know, lack of conflict, you know, which they're,
or
you know,
like safety or
yeah. And so, yeah. So, but the great thing is that, you know, the hope of the gospel is for everyone. And so we can try to communicate that.
So, I mean, we've kind of bumped into this question of sorts in a few ways, but as we think about this and culture kind of pointing people to these vague realities or these kind of cheap substitutes, as you said, Dean, of joy and hope and peace, and that Christmas is for everybody, but it really only makes sense for those who have trusted in Christ. And there are going to be people who are around family, who are around friends, who are around coworkers, who have the opportunity to have really meaningful and like super easy on-ramps to deep conversation about the things of the Lord in this season, and really talk about the true meaning of Christmas, which according to a Hallmark movie would be like falling in love with your high school sweetheart. But, you know, for us, it's obviously Jesus. How can people think about the idea of Christmas and evangelism and sharing their faith and pointing people to true hope, to true joy, you know, to true peace, those kind of things? Like what are some ways that people should think about this season and sharing their faith?
I think it first starts with convictions. Like, do you really believe Christmas? Do you actually believe that? And it's not like to make anybody feel guilty, but just to really introspectively say, okay, what do I really believe about this day I'm claiming to celebrate? And that's supposed to be important to me as a person of the Christian faith. Well, if it's true, then your relatives and the people closest to you need to know Christ, right? That they need to repent of their sins and give their life to Jesus. So if our families are as close as we say they are, or try to act like they are, then why wouldn't we open our mouths and mention and bring up the good news of the gospel? Are we more concerned with because I think one of the reasons why is because one thing Ashley hinted on this, talking about the secular substitutes for words. So many families are almost obsessive about keeping things peaceful in the home. So you don't talk about anything hard. You don't bring up anything that's going to cause any controversy. You just want things to be like superficially just fine. Where, you know, because if there's any little heat that happens, any little argument, mom gets worked up, like older mom, you know, like grandma gets worked up, and because she just wants everything to be perfect and wants everything to be fine and everything to be like it was when everybody was 7 years old. Because she almost like goes back in time during that and kind of pretends again that's how things are.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's not have a fake peace because we're afraid to have conversations. I'm not saying you don't stand on the coffee table. I'm not telling you to stand on the coffee table and read from Romans. But like, let's have, but like one. Here's how I can start. Tell your family, hey guys, like give them a couple of weeks notice. We're going to Christmas Eve. We're all going together to our Christmas Eve service. It means a lot to me for you to be there, and you're all coming with me.
Mm-hmm.
And then don't let people get out of it. Like, don't let people go, well, you know, Corona, or we're tired, or it's just been a long day. It's like, no, we're all going. And then find ways afterwards to talk about it. Like, those are some of the little things we can do. Utilize tradition and the good things of it to get people in front of the gospel.
Yeah, I think that it can be easy this time of year. We're surrounded with these, you know, kind of like cheesy sayings and pithy sayings and words that can mean a lot of things. So when I think about people in my life who need to know the Lord, who haven't trusted in Christ, it doesn't really work to say, you know, this is a season of joy. Have you thought about what really brings joy? Jesus. Like, that's just not, you know, and I'm not trying to make fun. If that is a way that you can start a conversation, by all means do it. I'm just saying, for most of the people that I know close to me, you know, that just might not be as effective. But so sometimes you might have to just ask a direct question. I mean, kind of to Dean's point, you know, hey, like, we celebrate Christmas. We're making this big to-do. Have you ever thought about, like, is there anything more to this than just gifts and extra family time? You know, like, is it, for you, do you feel or sense any deeper, you know, supernatural element to this? And see maybe where that goes. That could be a fun conversation. but but otherwise, I do think it can come through conversations. But also this year is a year where we have been collectively suffering, and people are in a difficult place. And so this year might be a year, not in an empty way, not like in a giving platitudes, but to say, hey, like what else is going to sustain us besides hope? And you could even relate it to yourself. I've been really having to press into what I believe and, what my, core faith is. And for me, that is resting in the truth of who Christ is and what he's done for me. I would love to talk about that. And, or if it's someone who's, really hurting and struggling, I mean, people have been alone a lot this year. And so if you are able to include someone in your family's gathering, or maybe you can't go to your family, and so, gathering with friends or something like that, I think there are other ways that we can reach out and care for people in this season that might open doors, whether we get to have a gospel conversation or not. Hopefully we do. But so I think, this year especially, again, not in a way just to have something nice to say, but I do think that we're looking for hope. And as Christians, we know the hope of the world is Christ. And so if we can offer that to people in a way that is genuine and true, I do think that the Lord will bless that. We obviously have no control over the outcome or whether somebody will respond or not, but we can offer it.
Yeah, I think one of the things that you said, Ashlyn, that has worked well for me in other conversations with friends who are not believers is the question of like, okay, you're celebrating Christmas. What are you celebrating? And not in like a judgy kind of, well, what are you celebrating? Just more of like because all sorts of people, even like other religions. I grew up with, kids who are Jewish who still celebrated Christmas, which is in a sense kind of weird, And so
and I think shows the secularism
exactly.
of the holiday
100%. And so to be able to say, well, like what are you celebrating? And I've heard, oh, well, like we're celebrating our family being together. Okay. That's a great starting point. And, and I think that question can open a lot of, kind of those other conversations that you were kind of alluding to and that help us point people to, what we actually as Christians have to offer in Christ, and not just be like, do you know real joy? Like your Christmas evangelism conversation isn't like a tract that you're leaving with, the waitress and, as a fake $100 bill or whatever. But there are real ways to engage and ask just, pretty non-threatening questions of just like, well, what does this mean to you?
And because of the nice sentimental aspect of Christmas, you can include things like, hey guys, before the kids go to bed tonight, we started a church in our family a couple of years ago where we read through Luke 2, and there's just things you can do that no one's going to get up and leave for that. What I mean? Like, it's just, unless you have this like angry atheist uncle or something like that. But my angry atheist uncle will even sit in for that, like so.
Read the Christmas story before you open gifts.
There's just little door. You capitalize on the sentimental, and the fact that people think they're celebrating Christmas, when really they don't even know what they're celebrating. It's just December, so they have to go to mom's. Yeah, and bring a present.
So as we, I think in 2020 we've felt everybody's felt all the feels, and a lot of really, a lot of people have been through a lot of really difficult things, whether that's just quarantine and lockdown and not being around friends and family as much, or loss. There's people in our church who have lost, family this year, and there's just been a lot of grief in 2020. There's always a lot of grief, but it seems like it's been multiplied, tenfold this year, with kind of rushing into Christmas and trying to get, what I'm going to call the feelings of Christmas and sort of like the warm and fuzzies. Are we setting ourselves up for letdown in 2021?
Ash and I are looking at each other like, let's like things don't operate by dates. You know what I mean? So like Corona didn't know that it was 2020. You know what I mean? Like, so I all the time talk about how much 2020 stunk and all that kind of stuff, but like the answer is not the ball dropping in Times Square, right? That's not the answer. So no, I think our expectations should be, what does life with God look like for me in 2021? Like I think it just goes back to discipleship lessons of, what does the world have to offer me? Like, what do I really think the world has to offer? And the answer is not much, So I think your expectations for 2021, if they're all just completely dependent upon, you or your hard work or fate or what, it's always going to be disappointing. It's always going to set up for disappointment, But like if we really say, hey, there's some things I am going to really be about this year that, so I don't think we're setting ourselves up for disappointment. I just think that we can, let's be optimistic about Christ, but not overly optimistic about this world, I guess, while still having hope that this world can be different, obviously. Yeah, let's not put too much stock, I guess, to use that old phrase, in it.
That's good.
Yeah, I would say, we all have experienced kind of that, like, drop off after the holidays, where we're just kind of like bummed because it's all over. And it's like you take the tree down and you put all the decorations up and, everybody goes home and your leftovers run out and you're like, there's just like, what am I supposed to look forward to now? Like it's just cold, but there's nothing festive and fun going on.
I got to plan my New Year's resolutions.
Yeah, exactly. Back to the same old. And as I was reading in Luke to kind of prep for this episode, something that really stood out to me and caught my eye again, and every single time I read the birth of Christ, that account in Luke, I'm always struck by this one verse. And just to kind of set up the scene, I think this is important for not like trying to avoid the post-holiday blues, but actually taking a moment to kind of focus our minds and hearts like in the season. So when everybody is rushing to go and see the birth of Christ, well, first of all, like there's no reason to think that the birth of Christ was this like peaceful, silent thing. It's like he was born in like a hole in the ground, right? Like in a barn. And so there's people there, and obviously this is, Christ has been born, and then the angels have appeared and they're singing, and then the shepherds are coming and they're like, we got to go see what's happened. And and there's, to me, that just like has always felt like a very chaotic scene. And I think about like the holidays are chaotic. I mean, they're chaotic for us because we make them so, right? Between like shopping and Christmas and travel and family and all of the things. Yep. But Christmas is, even though it's fun, it's kind of this crazy time. But when we actually look at like the scriptures, in that scene, to me, it feels chaotic too. But then I look at verse 19. So Luke 2, verse 19, and it says, but Mary, so everything else is going on around, people worship and singing and looking and admiring and, just kind of taking it all in. There's a lot going on. And verse 19 says, but Mary treasured up all these things, pondering them in her heart. And I have always loved that because it's like in the midst of all this craziness, it's kind of like the world just slows down, and, Christ has like broken through into like our earthly reality. He's come as a man, and Mary knows this, and she just sort of is taking all of this in, and she's just kind of, treasuring these things in her heart, pondering like the promises of God. And so to answer your question, I think it's totally fine for us to be looking to the holidays for like joy and fun. Like we need that right now.
Yes,
we
definitely.
need so give yourself over to the spirit and cheer of Christmas. I don't think that we should look to that as like, as Dean said, that's going to make everything go away. We have to acknowledge the suffering and the pain in the midst of all of that. That would be anti-Christian not to. But I also don't think we need to be like the fun police at Christmas just because we're afraid that like January 1st is going to be a big letdown. But I think even more so if we can take the posture of Mary and have this moment where we just kind of recenter and refocus, and we're truly storing these things up in our heart, like asking ourselves, what does it mean that Christ has come for me? I think we're going to go into the new year with quite a bit more hope and reflection on the promises of God than maybe we even came into 2020 aware of. And so I know not to like over spiritualize that, but that verse just always strikes me that Mary's able to kind of take this moment to just sort of sit back and look at everything and ponder that. And I think if we can use this time of year to do that while we're still having fun and engaging in all the Christmas stuff, this could be a really meaningful time for a lot of us.
That's well said.
Yeah, that's really good.
Yep. Only thing better is a homemade Ashland Snickerdoodle cookie on Christmas Eve.
They are good. I'm not going to lie.
On Christmas Eve. My favorite holiday tradition.
So I look forward to eating an entire bin of them on our tin. A bin would be fine too.
We'll see how this year goes. It's 2020. So.
Producer Jacob's more of a Hanukkah guy.
So.
Yeah, as a Christian.
That'd be a problem because he's one of our student leaders.
So for somebody who is in the in the midst of just a season of grief, and maybe they feel like not in a setting themselves up for disappointment kind of way, but like they can't catch the feeling of Christmas. They don't get the warm and fuzzies. They're experiencing their first Christmas without their one of their parents, or they've gone through a divorce, or they've they've lost a job, whatever the serious kind of difficult thing is, and they're just sitting in grief. How do we deal with that during the holidays when it seems like, even if it may not be, it seems like everyone around us is on cloud nine and drinking the Kool-Aid?
I would say two things. One, if you are that person, please don't hold that in. Like, don't be a recluse with that. Even if you value your privacy, like, doesn't mean 100 people need to know about this, but like, please have some people that you share this with. And my greater call in this moment is, because you can't make someone feel better. Like we're supposed to grieve sometimes, right? Mm-hmm. When there's loss. Not sometimes, we are. When there's loss. But my message is more to those people in the church community that know about this. Like, are you going to have these people come alongside of you during this time? Like, invite them into your life and into your Christmas traditions, and like just that type of mindset. So I would say it's a church responsibility for people, members of the church, to be on the lookout for that kind of situation, but also to be, and not just look out, but be aware of the life of your congregation where there's somebody that this Christmas is going to be really hard for them, and ask them to come with you for it. And don't ask them to fake it when they come. Just to be there and be part of the family for that. That's kind of my first thoughts.
That's good.
Yeah, I think about, in Matthew, Jesus saying, blessed are the poor in spirit. And to think about that, Christ, who came into the world, was going to later speak those words, and so for those of us who are grieving or going through just something powerful and deep and painful at this time of year, which is a lot of people, and to varying degrees, I think we can take comfort in kind of looking beyond the birth of Christ. Of course, that's what we celebrate at Christmas, but knowing that, like, that's the beginning, that's the start of, the account of Christ's life. And so I would, of course, in terms of getting, help and care, that's so important, to, like Dean said, not to keep those things in or to internalize them. And so, of course, there's a level where somebody might actually need to reach out and seek counseling or share that with someone. In addition to that, and not speaking maybe to those kind of really heavy places, but maybe someone just struggling with general discouragement, would also say, to think about the fact that, Christ coming is a promise that, there is more to come. So
that's good. How does Christmas give us hope? To kind of flip that on its head.
No clue. I'm just kidding. Sorry.
I was like,
the whole reason I said that was, it is every inch of hope that we have. I mean, it is the definition of hope. I mean, it is the, gosh, I don't know how to word it. It is like, hope is, if there should be, like, under Webster's definition of hope should be Christmas. Like, that Christ has come for us, right? That God has not forgotten about us. That the world is broken. God is not. He's redeeming things. He's reconciling things to himself. He's with you in your pain, and not just theoretically. Like, Jesus, we're told, like, actually experience pain and experience sorrow and experience grief, and like, he's done all these things. Like, he's gone before us. He sympathizes with us, we're told in the scriptures. So yeah, that's why I said that at first. I was like, I have no idea. Actually, it's the polar far opposite of that. It is the billboard blinking lights of hope, and it's all based on truth. Even if you don't feel like it, it's still true that Jesus has come. Like, he has come for us, and then he's going to come again. So I think it just really helps us understand. I think it just puts, like, for our New Testament selves that didn't have God, appear, have a cloud of glory, and didn't have, Moses come up and say, and watch the things happen, like manna fall down, and, all these type of things. Like, this is it for us, is that Jesus has come on this earth, Christmas, Easter, and that he's coming again. So that's kind of what comes to my mind first, is it's like everything that hope is found in this day.
Yeah, I know for me, like, what came to mind as I was thinking about this question is Colossians 1. And I'll read it for the sake of it, but verses 15 to 20, where it is talking about Christ, and it says, "He is the image of the invisible God, and the firstborn over all creation. For everything was created by him in heaven and on earth, the visible and the invisible, whether thrones or dominions or rulers or authorities. All things have been created through him and for him. He is before all things, and by him all things hold together. He is also the head of the body, the church. He is the beginning, the firstborn from the dead, so that he might come to have first place in everything. For God was pleased to have all his fullness dwell in him, and through him to reconcile everything to himself, whether things on earth or things in heaven, by making peace through his blood shed on the cross." And it's like, that's what Christ came at Christmas to do.
It
And
is.
so
it is hope.
That's
That is,
that's what you have to. As I think about this question, like, that's why we have to cling to those words. And the full story of Scripture, not just Colossians 1, but all of Scripture that reveal those truths over and over and over and over again.
Yeah, the reason why we have church on Sunday is because of all it's like because of this hope, right? Like, it's everything for us. Like, it really is it.
Ashlyn, do you have thoughts on that?
No, I think that's all good.
All right. Well, hopefully you enjoyed our conversation on Christmas. As we transition to the local on tap, we will talk about what I consider a disputed holiday tradition locally in our church that we practice, and that is candlelight during Silent Night on Christmas Eve.
All right, for the listener, Alex Scott, son of Patricia Scott, known as Pat, the pride of Michigan State University, and the Vine Street Motel. What's it called?
Violet Street
Inn. Is very hostile towards candles during Silent Night.
Very might be a little bit of a stretch, but I'm hostile.
So I'm like more middle ground on it, and Ashlyn's like, "Give me candles
I
now."
love them.
Yeah.
So okay, let me defend my position now that it's been, I'm being publicly shamed. I love the look of candles. And like the way, the room fills up, all the lights are off, you can see, Jesus is the light of the world. I have my candle. I'm going to let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Okay, fine. It looks cool. I just don't understand it. Like, I can't, I'm like, what does me holding a candle singing Silent Night have to do with Christmas? I just am confused.
And I really have no answer, so I need Ashlyn on this.
There's a million things you could apply that question to, though. That's the whole purpose of Christmas. You blindly accept the tradition.
Okay, I'm good with that. That's a good answer.
I don't have a logical position other than I just don't understand it. I don't know.
Like, you have people who look for a candlelight service on Christmas Eve somewhere that don't normally go to church anywhere.
Right.
They just want to go somewhere and sing Silent Night
For
and hold their candle.
those-
It's a thing.
For those 3 minutes, like they want that 3 minutes more than anything else in the Christmas season. And
It's irreverent,
And then you have people who are hardcore about like the rules of it. There's like things
Yeah.
like when you hold your candle up. Do y'all know about this?
I'm
Yes.
not like that, but
it's
yes,
like different
I am
different
aware.
verses or different parts of the song. Or something.
I think we probably give people, all kind of ulcers. We don't really do that right. I'm not even sure how that works.
Yeah, I don't. I think it's like the pastor stands on stage and leads it. So
No way.
You're up.
Not happening. I'll burn myself. That's my problem.
I don't know. I just am like, there's not even. Okay, maybe I pulled up the lyrics and I was like, what is this? Silent night, holy night, Son of God, oh, love's pure light, radiant beams from thy holy face. I'm like,
Lights,
lights,
loves
love,
pure light.
whatever.
So do you hate the song too?
Kind of.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's not really a radio Christmas song you hear much during Christmas season, is it? Maybe
I don't think so.
like a
Maybe like Kenny G jazz sax version of it or something.
Yeah, see, there you go.
I don't like Kenny G either. So
I love Kenny
Well,
G.
you just hate fun, so.
The Breathless album in 1992 or 3 was wonderful.
I have seen him live, but
Whoa.
I do not like Kenny G.
You've seen him live?
Yeah, I was like, it's a long story, but I've seen him live. He's funny on Twitter, or he was. I don't know if he still is, but I don't like his music. I don't like smooth jazz.
And just so everybody knows,
I like Miles Davis, real jazz.
Yeah, real jazz. Thank you. But just so everybody knows, we are doing Silent Night on Christmas
Yes.
Eve, and we will do the candles because we know that it's a tradition.
And I even
and that
led it
people
last
enjoy
year.
it.
I just don't understand
Oh,
it.
you're banned for leading
So-
this year. Yeah, we're hard in or nothing.
If somebody can just explain why we do it, I'm sure there's a reason. But beyond just it's tradition, take it in.
Yeah,
I would.
I'm
I
sure
would
there's a church
appreciate
that did it in Scotland and whatever, and it became a
my
thing.
people. Okay,
Yeah,
I'll
that's my guess.
see. So now, if somebody can give me a compelling reason, I could very easily flip
I really
just
think it is just to symbolize Christ as the light of the world. Like, I think it's just a symbolic Christmas
Alex.
tradition.
Yeah, Alex.
Yeah, but it's the pairing of Silent Night, and it's just weird. I don't know. I don't get it.
So here's where I am on it. I enjoy doing it, and I think it's a nice Christmas tradition. If we didn't do it, I'd be fine. I know it sounds like such a that's my like kind of weak position on it. Like, I wouldn't like notice, but people love it, man. That's like a thing for people.
Yeah, I wouldn't get rid of it just because of the fact that so many people love it. Like, I would. Yeah. You know, I don't. I mean, I'm not like advocating against it. I just don't understand it. So somebody explain it to me, change my mind. And I'm going to go sit on Florida State's campus with a sign that says, you know, candlelight during Silent Night is confusing. Change my mind.
That'd actually be pretty funny.
That would be really funny.
And producer Jacob can film it. We can put it on our. That'd be pretty funny. And then also, there's some churches, like, after you sing it, instead of like blowing out your candle, you walk outside. Like, everybody walks outside together with their candles, like in the parking lot or in the grass. And then the pastor like says another word, and then he goes, "You may now, you know, extinguish your candles," and everybody, it's a thing.
And then do you like go to your car silent? Like,
yeah, I think that is it. Yeah, and then you drive off. Yeah.
See, that feels like more appropriate on Good Friday.
You are such a low church heathen.
I don't know, whatever. I'm gonna get a lot of judgment. I'll take it. It's fine.
Embrace the candles.
But
you get one less snickerdoodle cookie on Christmas Eve because of your attitude.
How about this? I'll hold the clicker and I'll light some candles and everything will be fine. All right. Well,
Merry Christmas.
We hope you've enjoyed this episode. We are going to let you know, too, this will be the last episode of 2020. We're going to take a few weeks off, but we hope you and yours have a wonderful Christmas season. Also, this podcast is releasing on December 3rd, and so we hope that you will tune in on December 6th. That's a Sunday evening at either 5 or 7 p.m. for our Home for Christmas special. It's going to be an online broadcast, phenomenal music. Dean's here, so phenomenal preaching. No, I'm just kidding. It's good preaching.
Where do they find it?
They can find it online at citychurchchristmas.com. It's also going to be on Facebook and I think other streaming platforms as well, but citychurchchristmas.com. And then a saucy Christmas album from City Church Music will be released the following day on December 7th. So make sure on December 7th you go on Spotify or iTunes or Amazon Music or Shazam or whatever. I don't know, whatever. Whatever. I don't even think Shazam streams music, but whatever. Go listen to music, City Church Music. It's amazing. Todd and Jenna crushed the album. It's phenomenal.
Is Silent Night on it?
No.
Okay.
No.
Because I was going to ban you from listening to it because of your attitude.
Nope. It's no Silent Night. So I'm going to be cranking it. Volume 10, baby. So.
I hope everybody tunes in to our Home for Christmas. It's a chance to really kind of be just a cool, just kind of think about bring Christmas home, like no pun intended. Is that a pun? Wait, no. But the chance to just really kind of get in those good Christmas feels in a way it's actually centered on Christ. Yeah. Can be really great, and invite others to join you.
Yeah. Share the hope of Christ and the hope of Christmas with people that night. So we will see you in 2021.
Thanks for listening to The Local Dive, a podcast diving into deep and shallow musings about Christ, the church, and culture. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a review wherever you listen to podcasts. You can follow The Local Dive on social media and continue the conversation with us on Instagram and Twitter at The Local Dive Pod.